Welcome back to our little Christmas candle holder video. Onto the second leaf and a quick little recap. Basic outline to match the carved out top. I've got a sort of a medium-sized diamond in the drill, and while I'm there I'm just grabbing some little chippy bits that are glaring at me. Obviously I need to smooth out the top quite a lot more, but just initially I ran over some really rough edges. You can be using some sort of stone, a rougher sort of stone, to smooth out those carved edges as well. But I've gone relatively deep, as I did with the first one, for the outline at the bottom of the leaf, but nothing that's going to weaken that area of glass, of course. Then with a larger diamond, I am just roughing up the surface without going too deep, again touching up the top to get rid of some of the chips, and then adding some roughly, not realistic, did I say realistic? A hint of the direction of the leafy texture. And I'm paying a little bit more attention here to the inside of the outlined surface, and just roughing up the surface again on that basic leaf area. You can see there's a lot of water, well, there was a lot of water build up inside the glass. It's a little bit tricky, of course, but the more water, the better, really. So, in a quick flash, I have done all three leaves, the most basic preparation, really. And now I've got a Dura white in the drill. I'm making it up as I go along. I have absolutely no idea at this point what I really plan to do. So, you know me. And I've just done a simple line going across that gap without even filling it in properly. But on the upper surface, I am filling it in properly. Only because when you're standing back and looking at it, or looking at it closely, you'll see a little bit of variation in shade as you see through the slightly softer area. And people won't know why. I love that. So just repeating myself on all three leaves. So it's like a factory process. I don't complete one area and then move on to the next area and try and remember what I did in the first one. It's nice to do it like a little factory process. So you're kind of getting everything matched up. You've got the burr in your drill, you know what you're doing, and just move around until you finish that particular section. There are so many different things you could be doing for this little leaf. You can make the bits down the middle with a diamond, a sort of a mini diamond wheel even, making it a little bit deeper, and then shading from there outwards. I've just chosen to make this a little bit darker in the middle, and it really doesn't matter. You can play it by ear, do whatever you want, really. I just think as long as they're all roughly matching, that's what people basically will be noticing without even noticing. Because, you know, some people, if they're not artistic, they won't have a clue why they really like something. And it's usually because it's matching. It flows. But art is funny because then at the same time you can do whatever you like, really. You can do 3 different styles of leaf and that'll be another talking point. Here I've got a very big diamond burr and I am creating a sort of a berry effect. Don't forget, when you're going round and round and round and round, don't forget to do the middle. Stop in the middle for a while. Hold it steady in the middle so that the middle can be slightly deeper. Otherwise, you will end up with a donut and not a berry. Pretty much like I did there. I don't think I didn't neaten that properly. I was doing this quite quickly. You can see that I have not outlined the top of this particular berry to the edge of the carving. It does not matter at all. You're just getting a general idea. And you can spend much, much more time creating perfect round, perfect smooth berries. But I'm treating this more like a sort of a really arty-farty kind of piece. Now on the inside I decided to just put the tiniest bit of highlight on the upper half of the berry and not the entire berry, so that it has an interesting effect. That's all. And as you can see, I have left a dark bit in the middle because there will be a little black dot, like if you were looking at a Christmas card with the berries, there's usually a little black dot in the middle. So moving around, I'm just doing the same to all 3 groups. If only we could engrave that fast. Paying attention a little bit more to the carved edges. Using the diamond. Because it is such a high quality diamond that I'm using, this is a sintered diamond and it is a medium grit. And it has produced quite a nice finish without being too rough. As I say, you can use a brown stone, a pink stone, possibly a green stone. Sometimes the larger green stones are very, very rough. It depends where you get them from, actually. There's so many different makes out there. Now, I can't keep up, so you just got to experiment. You don't want to have shiny bits of chipped glass. That is what you don't want. You just want a lovely edge that looks like it's not going to cut anybody, and it just blends in with the whole thing, and maybe even gives it just a nice outline, almost a cartoon-like outline. But there's nothing stopping you using if you want to spend hours, use a smoother stone, a Dura White, and then use a rubber and make the whole upper carved edge almost transparent. That would have a totally different effect and would take a long time, and no, I wouldn't do it, but it depends how much time you've got on your hands. So now, using the same diamond, and dry this time, I'm going around the outer edges, not deeply, but I'm just neatening up the outer edges of the berries. You can do this with the Dura White quite happily. And then touching up any funny little bits. Now, as you can see, there was a little slip there, which just a little bit annoying, not that annoying. Something like this, it really doesn't matter. You can think up something to cover it up. I certainly wouldn't have wasted time trying to polish it out, so we'll deal with that later. You can see the brightness of the little bit of white that I've put on the inside, giving it an interesting, a rather strange effect actually. I probably should have blended it a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. I'm really loving this. Honestly, I hope you are too, and I hope you give it a go, and I hope you think up other ideas as well. I've got a few in my mind. I think there's just so many things you can do. Here I've got a Dura White, and I am creating that little dark spot that I mentioned. Not going too fast. This drill will only be turning at about 15,000 RPM, maybe not even that much. I never really look, so it's never going to be the same, but I know that I make sure it's very slow. You can hear it, you can feel it, you can see it, and certainly if you speed it up, it'll start burning the glass. And of course, my little tiny brown rubber, or whatever rubber you've got. There's some white ones out there that do a fairly good job actually, very similar job, as again it depends where you purchase them from. Here I've got a rubber disc, not sure which one it is, and I'm just softening some areas. Be careful not to go onto the clear glass, because it will leave a hue. Not that it's the end of the world if it does with this sort of thing, but I'm just randomly adding a bit of shading here and there. If you've seen my video on grapes and bubbles, I pay very much attention to not making groups of grapes look like conjoined bubbles. This video, I did them fairly separately, if you like. They're not really overlapping each other. But if you want to be more convincing, say for example, if you are doing grapes, you could do grapes around something like this, then pay attention to my video on grapes and bubbles, because you don't want to have lovely grape leaves going around with bunches of bubbles. That's quite important. Here I've got another rubber, a softer rubber, and I'm just adding a little bit more shading. I've seen a couple of edges. See, when you look at that, where I've polished it on the top, you can see some sort of light coming from the bottom. It just makes it a little bit interesting. And here I've got a Dura White, another one which has got the flat top. And I am creating some very, very subtle and very simple veins on these leaves, bearing in mind that you will be viewing the inside. If you're sitting at a table, for example, there will be people who will be able to see the inside, so it's nice to have a little effect going on there, because that subtleness is not really going to come through to the outside. So I'm matching the outside as well, not one line on top of the other obviously, but just some more lines on the outside. Just make sure they're going in the same direction. That would be useful. Again, you could do this deeper with a diamond rather than a Dura white, which is actually making darker lines. It's entirely up to you. You don't have to do them at all. You could have left them as clear glass when you first used the diamond. You could have easily left those shapes as clear glass, and then maybe sort of tone them and do whatever you like. You can have the whole thing like a cartoon of black and white as well. Here I've got my little soft rubber, and I was just playing actually, just doing a really daft bit of shading that was not really necessary at all, but because I'm experimenting, I was just messing about really. I think it's rather cute. There's nothing stopping you, if you're using it for something different, adding something underneath, engraving on the underside and filling that base with more engraving. But because I've done this for a candle, that would obviously be covered up. Now, because of that little slip that I had done earlier, I decided to add some random twigs. And very, very simple, just any old who. But roughly in the same sort of area around each group is what I've chosen, but they're certainly not identical, that's for sure. And I've done this so that I have covered up that little slip. There's another one there, so from that one I've taken a twig straight out, and like magic, that little mess up is gone. Add your little signature and the date, so that in 100 years' time, when somebody comes across it in a charity shop, they'll be able to identify. And there you go. That was fun. Out of just a cheap, broken glass. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye for now.